testing a little bit here to have kind of like a radio. Let me just find this stream. Hope everyone's having a golden evening. Okay, I found it. Very nice. So that is one of the rooms in Kynto, and you could build your own room. It could also be just a plane or a platform in space, just for people to congregate or to pop in on. But slowly going through my clothes right now, trying to find some things, because we're going to be getting into spring and the weather's going to be much nicer, and hoping to start getting outside more. Desperately need some sun and fresh air. The last few weeks been frigid. However, Florida's winter doesn't last too long. Every now and then we get one that feels like it's a few months long, but really it's gone in a blip, and summer temps will be on the horizon any day. And also on these radio kind of broadcasts, if you will, we'll be able to also share screen. And I'm sure the background will change eventually, so you could see a little bit of the background, because the room, or the land, if you will, that you see now is the foreground, or what the characters would spawn upon. However, the back is free real estate for streams, to share screen, bunch of things, and it's available on Apple and Android, so you can check it out, or just go to kyntoparty.com, and from there you can check it out on desktop or mobile without having to download anything. And you can see walking around the screen now. Is there a way to zoom out a little bit?
Yes. And you have the choice of room that you want to show as well. So
Maybe a room that's like just a platform, because then could see the background for when you put footage up. Yeah. Code got some pretty incredible footage of a forest fire, or control burn that was happening across the canal in the swamp. You can also maybe grab one of my older streams and pop it, so I don't have to worry about triggering copyright or anything. Here, Code, if you want to put this just for something. And if anybody has... Hello, Kitsune. That was Itkin Egas Snake. She's outside. Hey, Zoidberg! So, this is Kynto, Code's project. And it's gonna be hosting, like, I guess, just meetups. And come up with all kinds of ideas just by conversing. And there's all different ways to communicate through Kynto. You could type, share your audio, your camera, your screen. Anyway, everyone talks differently, whether they prefer texting or voice, and pretty soon there'll be voice, like, audio clips, if there isn't already. Constantly changing. It's a one-man band, so CodeLock is the sole programmer, so yeah, constantly evolving, changing, and any ideas are just fuel to keep it expanding. And excluding a few games, like I don't have much experience with gaming or online worlds. However, there's so many uses that could fit into my realm, if you will, of crafting and streaming, learning crafting. It'd be also nice to have kind of like a radio type of ship. And as you can see, the back is being populated. Oh, something else is happening that's also very neat. Oh, there it is. This is back when I was making a lot of salvaged copper jewelry. I just figured to have something on in the background. I didn't really know what to pick. But as you can see, you can have anything in the background, whether it be like a lesson of sorts. Someone has a question, you could start jumping up and down, or share your own screen. It's the goal for hyper connectivity. I mean, when the Kynto streams are rolling, can you do it in this one where the characters go on screen?
What's that?
Can you go on like somebody types to put them on screen?
I can put that in your channel if you want. Yeah, the whole idea is for you to just be able to talk and have to go on camera sometimes, because I know you want to go live.
Well, when you type in the comments, you go on screen, like as a character.
I'll set that up.
Sweet. So it's going to be set up for my streams too. Pretty soon it'll be, you know, a glove that all can slide upon their hands. However, did a few test streams with that feature, and how it works is you would type like wardrobe. Well, first, if you type anything in the chat, you will appear as a avatar on the screen. And if you say wardrobe, your clothes will change. And pretty soon you could say like wear pink shirt or wear blue pants, and it will change it to that. However, you gotta save the future for something. And there's just so many little things like that that always come to mind in everybody's mind. So if y'all also have any ideas, even down to the objects, I didn't make much in this scene, but I did make that pizza, and that gate that's going up and down. And you can too. If you don't have Ace Sprite or 15 bucks for Ace Sprite, because you know you might not be into it, and that is beautiful. However, there is a free software to tinker with pixels, and it's called pixelart.com, pixil.com. So that's always an option. And you can also print your first creations onto notebooks or other merchandise. They have that as an option. I actually got my very first attempt at pixel art. I made a skull and a few candles, and Code had it printed on a notebook from pixelart.com. And pixelart.com, in case. Oops, what happened? Papa, India, X-ray, India, Lima, Alpha, Romeo, Tango. I always forget R and the other ones, L. Very nice. I'm gonna see what I'm doing here. So, oh wow, I'm bringing I think I ended up making earrings. Gearing up to have a little market, even if it's by way of monthly yard sales. Like, kind of themed yard sales. And it is actively being programmed and probably will always be, because there will always be things to add, if you will. Like maybe one day you can fly and the wings will one day flap and stuff like that. It'll constantly be evolving, because in its own right, it is a DIY project. And I do have a lot of appreciation for pixel art, and even more so now. However, like, translates into so many crafts, like needlepoint embroidery, cross stitch, and it's gaining popularity again. And I've seen tons of shorts in the last few weeks of how to create pixel art. So, kind of excited. It's like a perfect time. Very nostalgic, and the isometric perspective, very interesting. You can see in all directions. And there you go, Zoidberg. See how you're on the screen. At least the text is. And could all use this to watch documentaries or footage. There's a website called UbuWeb that has a lot of like found footage and outside art on it that might be fun to sift and watch, kind of like movie theater style, drive-in style. And this few hours of poking around clothes pretty extensively. And when I do get really into like Etsy or Venti, you know, you are your best billboard. And I have so many handmade little bits and pieces that I could just essentially drench myself in the stuff and walk around a little bit, and eventually someone, I'm not even kidding, this is how selling crafts works in a small town. Someone will compliment it and then ask like maybe where you got it. And that's when you get to say, I made it! Nowadays though, like people are way more inclined to just try to make something themselves, which is beautiful. I think eventually I'd want to become a craft teacher, or like teach crafts at camps or senior care facilities. I'm wondering if I should bring these shoes. Code actually did me a solid with these. They're these great big Betsy Johnson shoes, and I know Betsy Johnson isn't what it used to be. It's more kind of like, I mean, it's not quite on the same as, I guess, fast fashion or have you. It's very manufactured, but still like a quality feel, and like it lasts. And really fun designs, just kind of cheers you up inside. And I always had a soft spot for it, to the point that sometimes I'll just go on the site and go on sales, and what is the lowest priced first, and find some really great stuff, because I never understood, like, I don't need stuff now, and if I like something, I'm gonna like it in the next season or in a few years from now. So I just try to get the stuff for as little as possible, but make sure it's quality so it lasts. Because I'd rather, see, I'd rather get something like on the pricier side than something on the cheaper side that I have to buy like over and over again. Like a good dress will last a few years, and something from one of these shops that just print out of plastic, essentially, not gonna last very long. But you take that and then you get that quality piece for next to nothing, and now, hey. And as long as you take care of this stuff, pass it along to the thrift stores, and it's not garbage. Like 90% of the women's clothing section now is Shein. I will say, has some like cute designs every now and then. However, it's not their designs. It's not even their photos. You'll see a picture of a dress and you're like, alright, that's freaking precious. And it'll be like $25. Ooh. Like, I know it's not gonna come looking like that, but it's a stolen image, and then just like a really, 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 really quick and cheap copy. That's whatever the image is portraying. And you see the videos like showing like, this is what I ordered and this is what I got. It's a good example. The women's clothing is just an absolute wreck. And the stuff doesn't last. The fabric is very uncomfortable. You will, just like, just scratchy, very plasticky, everything feels flammable and smells as such, but you just gotta be a little picky when it comes to clothes, unless you want a closet full of disposable clothes. Mainly for women's clothes, though. I noticed, like, when my mom's looking for stuff for my dad, it's pretty normal, pretty similar to how it's always been. And my mom finally understood what I was saying, because she's like, there is this weird lint that is just like, ever since it started, it's like, it can't stop. They use those old school lint rollers, like the red kind of velvet, like, looking thing. And it wasn't doing anything with the microfibers because it's just the fibers themselves get thinner and thinner. And I am just rambling so hard. But it's like the thinnest fibers you could possibly imagine. So I went to Walgreens and grabbed them a lint roller, the ones with tape, which was able to grab all those, but I heard them like talking about the lint and like, what are we gonna do? This is like horrible. Because usually you could go for like some packing tape to take care of lint if you don't have lint roller. But if you don't have that, I don't know. And another reason why I feel like men's clothes aren't as affected, I almost said infected, is that they don't really make decorative clothes in the same sense. Like, a women's clothing store like Forever 21 will have straight up a rain jacket, but it's not a rain jacket. It's just a trendy item that like either some influencer in some regard wore in the last few months, and they made a carbon copy of it, excluding the kind of engineered fabrics for rain jackets, and it will be an absolutely useless article of clothing just made to look like a rain jacket. Same thing with the puffer jackets, like the puffer jackets that will not keep you warm in the winter because they're essentially decorative. I haven't worn shoes like this in so long. But with like really super long skirts, I tell you what. See, if you wear long skirts and like sneakers, I feel too frumpy, so long skirts with ridiculous shoes and sneakers with ridiculous skirts. And to me, that is exactly what math is for. I don't know what I'm talking about, but hey, Incognito Nacho. Running a test radio, and others could join, and it wouldn't just be me awkwardly rambling about clothes. Oh, probably the last thing I would but it's a real, it's a real problem. Women's clothing right now is a tragedy. Like, you'll have workers boots, like kind of like Timberlands or boots, but they're not boots. They're just like shoes in boot shape with the soles glued to the rest of it, and everything feels just decorative, like costume. And cargo pants or pants that look like they're hiking pants that will rip if you try anything with the leg. Oh, I got these shoes strapped to my feet. Gotta feel like bitch. Totally forgot how much I missed. It's Ken Eagles Snag. Hi, kitten. She is a wonder child. But yeah, anybody could join, and could join through Kynto, I believe. shoes. Trying to find my skirt. This big old long skirt. It looks like I'm about to pull furniture out of my bag. Which I did not know Mary Poppins was the same one in Sound of Music. Somehow I've never seen it myself. Well, not sure what else to do or talk about. I'm just kind of rambling to myself. But this is a test. Maybe I'll just read stuff out of this.
She mentioned your waterfall.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was the radio.
Yeah.
Do you want to sit there, maybe?
Yeah, I was charging my mic, it died. I killed my test stream.
Yeah. Kind of, giving a little radio show going, all can join. And it's just, audio, so minimal pressure, rather than having to worry about cameras and that kind of thing. Kind of just like a phone call.
Was it intense?
I don't like them because the skinny, I don't like this. This should be thick. They look ugly. Trying to find normal shoes. Ow. When you run into things directly. So, let me find. Ooh, silk. Not nice, but just I almost ripped it. Pulling it off the hanger. One of my favorite finds. It's a silk slip skirt. So, really good for Florida. Yeah. Now I just need a shirt. That makes a little sense. Maybe. Let's try this. The skirt's just a little too big. What's that? Ooh. Trying to get, like, up my closet a little bit for professionalism. And just kind of, get rid of anything that...
Sweet get up.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet get up.
Oh, this is Sweet Gallop.
Wow. Just tell me about what you're talking about, the Ryan Reynolds Blake thing. I don't know what's going on with this.
Alright. So, normally, I don't think I would have fallen so hard for this sort of thing, but it seems to really be that, like a kind of usurping a movie with a large following. Not like large cinematic following, but the book itself I guess hit a lot of people. And the movie adaptation, there was just a load of like just kind of odd happenings down to the clothes. I guess when celebrities use their own wardrobe, or if or actresses or actors, if they use their own wardrobe, they get a kickback for that. And I'm guessing her clothes are astronomical. And which the clothes were a thing in itself. If you look up It Ends With Us clothing, it's you know, I mean, like there's some utilitarian pieces, but it's I don't know, a little frumpy, I guess.
That's terrible, Cole.
I feel like it would have, I haven't seen the movie, but I think it would have made sense if like maybe she started dressing like that, like when her life was like going upside down, and, like before she was like quaint floors. I don't know. I don't know anything about the story or movie, but my feed, my recommended is absolutely congested with this. And one side said all the stuff like that like pornographic footage was shown, and it turned out to be like the director's wife's like birth footage, and it wasn't anything like, it's just little things like that that I overheard, and I'm like, oh my god, wait, what's happening over there? It's really well-known people. I mean, Deadpool and the other one. Ooh. Let's not turn them down.
Thankfully, that doesn't get picked up by the stream at all. So you could listen to stuff with context.
And perhaps, you have your mic on? Whoa. Do you get picked up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, I'm here with you.
And so we got waterfalls. I have a tendency to ramble a lot, and I'm hoping that a little bit of a water feature will aid in that a little bit and be a little nicer than silence. It's just a little Amazon waterfall of a cloud. Changes colors, ambiance, so anything more than the water sounds are just like little sweet treats, and on top of that, the motor is silent. And a lot of the waterfalls that I was looking at, because I've been looking for one for a while, that was the main complaint, as you could hear the motor. And I was like, hey, that is no good. For this purpose, able to find one. I'm so antsy because I'm so used to turning the camera at something. Pointing at the...
You can if you want. You can activate your camera.
And on my sketchbook, there's a crucifix that has sea urchin spines as the body and a Shiva shell as the face. And I have that right next to me. I'm gearing up to start bending again, so trying to get little collections of all of my favorite things to make, which are, of course, the flies, which I'll just be having a little display for anybody who could put them to use and give me some feedback for. And the jewelry and comics and graphic novels. Trying to get rid of some stuff so I could just be kind of free of it, like graphic novels. Just takes up way too much room. And I was collecting them for a while for the art. I really wanted to not get into illustration, but at least be able to create better art that was easier to look at than what I was currently creating. So tried to go on multiple dives through animation and I guess, comic book art, which Code found the coolest thing possible. He found this comic book about how to make comic book art, which is absolutely righteous, and found it at Dr. Rob's stand. And I've mentioned him a few times. I have his number if anybody's in Palm Beach County and is ever looking for a comic book fix. He's got everything. So you just message him what you're looking for, and within a few weeks, you'll meet him in in a back alley and, you know, get your comics. But this comic is too cool. It's how to make comics and how to draw. And I'm not sure what section it's in. I don't know why I have these shoes on. I just like them. Okay. I don't like the heels though. They ruined it. They need to be thicker and they'd be like, I do.
Got a dog scuttling under you.
I could read out some of the comics that I have. Let's see, Spawn, I just have one. Maybe I'll just read the comics that have more than just one of. Oh, well, Spawn, there's a few. I even have a Bukowski comic. Oh, I've been looking for that. My Weird Life Cycle of the Mosquito. Let us see. Oh yeah, Jesus. Yellow Dog. Cartoon Universe. Oh. Zine. Which I keep meaning to make a few just to get started, and then maybe others would like to add. There are X-Men, of course. Really good art. Avengers. I like the use of pink, the heavy use of pink in the 80s, so I have a lot of 80s. Nice. But Witchblade, Madame Xanadu, but unfortunately I have to at least complete the series and then just like skim it, and then I'll be ready to part ways. Got some Tomb Raider. Good amount of Tomb Raider. Yeah, Madame Xanadu is just my favorite art. I wish they would do something with that character. Jaguar. Vampirella. Quite a few Vampirella. And Witchblade. Oh yeah, Lady Death. But the art is sick. The name's a little cheesy, but the art is sick. As far as graphic novels, there's a few of them. Santana's another one of my favorites. Art-wise, I just really like that character aesthetically.
Hey Jamie, wait.
And Jungle Girl. Adventures of Red Sonja.
Hello everyone.
Which it's like, I don't know why. It's just one of the best like looking characters. The chainmail and the big red hair. I really do like for the characters themselves. I like Santana. Wonder Woman, of course. And Catwoman. Harley Quinn. Bunch of the older. Hey! Huntress. The Pink Fire Ranger. It's like a new modern one. I'm gonna have to get in here and find that How to Draw Comics. League of Legends. The art is just like, I can't get enough. Like, color choices, not really. Yeah. I wish I could create imagery even remotely like that.
Loki popped on and said hello. Oh, Loki.
Okay. Yeah, y'all can feel free to join. It's Coker could describe like how that was gonna work. Cause we'll have like a call-in show, and maybe this could be like Saturdays. That's kind of like a call-in type of thing.
Yep, just real quick. Basically, anyone that wants to join, Jamie can send over a link, and that would let you share a microphone or a camera or a screen share. So if you have anything you want to share, you'd be able to do it that way and be part of the stream.
Oh, like circle of conversation. Jam sessions could even do that. Like, I don't know how delays and stuff, but files maybe. There's no business. I can read this. It's short. There's no business. Charles Bukowski. I'm sure a lot of people know who he is. He's had many surges of popularity through many decades. Manny Hyman had been in show business since he was 16. 4 decades of it, and he still didn't have a pot to puke in. He was working one of the lounges at the Sunset Hotel. The small lounge. Manny was the rotten at reading out loud. Doing it like professional. Am I missing a watch?
It's just interesting trying to do a radio show with you because you float around to different rooms.
Oh, because I'm about to try to read out loud, and it's like, that's why I got all
Nobody.
situated. And please feel free to talk. Essentially just filling silence. You can also just put this by the water feature. Manny, was the comedy. Vegas wasn't what it used to be. The money had gone to Atlantic City, where things were fresher, newer. Then, too, there was the goddamned recession. A recession, he told them, is when your wife runs off with somebody. A depression is when somebody brings her back. Somebody brought mine back. Now, there's a laugh there somewhere, and where I find it, I'll let you know. Manny sat in the dressing room, nipping at a pint of vodka. He sat in front of the mirror, hair quite receded, shiny forehead, a nose that slid down and to the left, sad, dark eyes. Shite, he thought. I guess it's tough for everybody. You keep slowing down, but you have to keep going. Either that, or it was your neck on the railroad track.
Waving hand, smiling face with sunglasses, waving hand.
There was a rap on the door. Come in, he said. There's nothing but quiet space here and some Jewish vegetation. Not sure what that means. It was Joe. Joe Silver. Joe booked the entertainment for the hotel. Joe pulled a chair over, sat down on it backwards, rested his arms and chin on the back of the chair, and looked at Manny. Joe had been booking acts as long as Manny had been working them. They looked almost alike, except that Joe didn't look poor. Joe sighed, stretched, and rubbed the back of his neck. You go out there, Manny. and your stuff seems real bitter. Maybe you've been in the game too long and it's turning on you. You know, I can remember when you were funny. You used to make me laugh. You even made the crowd laugh. It doesn't seem so long ago. Oh yeah, grinned Manny? You mean last night, huh, Joe? I mean last year. I don't remember when. Ah, come on, Joe, it's not that bad, Manny said, looking in the mirror. There's nobody out there, Manny. You're not pulling them in. Your act is so flat, you could slide it under a door. But could you slide it under a sliding door? We got a revolving door here, Manny. It spins you in, and if you don't cut the mustard, it spins you right out again into the avenue. Manny turned and looked at Joe. What's this you're telling me, Joe? I'm one of the great comics. I got the clippings to prove it. One of the great comics of the age. You know that. That was the Ice Age, Manny. This is now. We gotta get more people at the tables. I could go out there now and throw 5 pounds of dry rice and not hit anybody. Maybe the people don't like rice, Joe. Maybe they like the rice cooked. Joe shook his head. Manny, you're going out there like a bitter old man. People know the world is shit. They want to forget that. Manny took a hit of vodka. You're right, Joe. I don't know what's gotten into me. You know, we got soup lines in this country again. It's just like the 30s. I go out there and look at those porks eating and drinking, and they're dumb. They're really dumb. What right have they got to all that money? I don't understand any of it. Joe reached out and touched Manny on the arm. Look, get that stuff out of your head. Your job isn't to improve things. Your job is to get belly laughs. Yeah, I know that. You know, I like you, Manny, as a person. I know you blow your pay at the tables and on the girls. I don't mind that. You gotta have an outlet. And I don't mean vodka. As long as you produce. But AJ told me we gotta have more full tables, or I'm finished. As the promoter here. You're not making them laugh, Manny. And now it's my ass. And I ain't laughing either. I'm thinking of bringing in that kid Benny Blue. He not only does jokes, but he does dirty tricks with soap bubbles. Hello, Crazy Life 99. Hey, Team Quack Attack. How you doing tonight?
Hello.
That kid's low grade. A low grade jerk, Joe. You heard what he did the other day? He got coked and pissed on one of the chambermaids. And then he gave her $5 and told her to come back the next night for an encore. I heard, but the kid's good on the boards, and that's what I'm concerned about. I don't use coke, Joe. I don't care what you use. I care what you do. It's your name in the lights outside, and there aren't any people at the tables. Fook! Haven't you heard? There's a recession, Joe. And please, Manny, no more recession jokes. Every night, so many recession jokes. You make the wrong people feel bad. Oh, whoops. You make the people feel bad. They want to laugh. There's something wrong, Manny. They aren't coming in. Manny took another hit of vodka, turned around, and focused on Joe. Wow, my brain saw focused on Joe and faced Joe. Well, let me tell you something. It's that gosh darn chorus. You've had the same girls in the same costumes for 3 or 4 seasons. Their tits are beginning to sag. Their asses have grown bigger than the national debt. And they're hooking after hours. The Swanettes. Hell, you ought to rename them to the Herpes Sisters. Nobody wants to watch a batch of disease hookers kick their legs in rhyme. What year is it? Oh, 1984. We can't get new costumes, man. You know how much those costumes cost? Well, at least put something new into those old costumes. Manny, that ain't the problem. You're the problem. You either have to get it up or you're out. I'll have to bring in Benny Blue and his dirty bubbles. Get it up? Get it up? It's just an expression. I mean, I want you to get your act up, off the floor, and if it's your ass or mine, it's gonna be yours. Thanks, Joe. I guess you know, Ginny has breast cancer. I got hospital bills, up the ass. I heard Manny held the bottle out to Joe. Have some vodka. Thanks, Manny. Joe took a hit. Listen, Manny, how'd you do at the tables last night? You're not gonna believe this, but I hit for $1.50. Beautiful. But listen, Manny. Yeah? Keep it in your pocket. Joe stood up. Well, not only break a leg, break 2 legs and a collarbone. How about a fractured fibula? That too. Manny sat before the mirror, well into the bottle. You could hear a male solo out there singing some sloppy love ballad. They never raised those jerk-offs, or razzed. They never razzed. They never razzed those jerk-offs. The ladies loved it, and the men endured. Just glad that they weren't that guy. That guy, the singer, Manny had met, a Pasadena City College dropout with sideburns down to his asshole. The fucker drank vanilla malts and played the slot machines with the grandmothers. He had about as much class as a cat's bunghole. I've never seen bunghole written out like that. There was another knock on the door. Your own, Manny. He took a good hit, looked into the mirror, and stuck his tongue out at himself. Whoops. The tongue was gray-white. He quickly sucked it back in. Out there, it was bright and hot. Manny let his eyes adjust, saw maybe 5 or 6 couples at the tables, and the place had about 26 tables. All the couples looked sullen. The couples weren't speaking to each other. They didn't move except to lift their drinks. Put them down. Order more. Well, hello, my friends, Manny improvised. You know, there isn't much difference between me and Johnny Carson. Carson wears a new suit each night. You never see him in the same suit twice. I wonder what he does with all those suits. One thing I know, he doesn't give them to Ed McMahon. Silence. Ed McMahon is too big for Carson's britches, get it? Sure you do, but I guess that wasn't very funny. Well, I like to sneak up on my humor slowly, creep up on it, you know? I hope to hell you find it before sunrise, a large drunk yelled from the back of the room. Manny peered past the lights into the darkness. Ah, I see, my friend. My, you're a big arsehole. You're such a big arsehole, they could jam the Queen Mary up your rear, and there'd still be room for the Easter parade. You're pretty fucking awful, the huge drunk yelled back. Can you do a little tap dance? Manny began. Or better yet, a disappearing act, yelled another drunk. The small audience applauded wildly. Manny waited until they were finished. Now, he said, I know you fellas are unhappy because your girlfriends are sleeping with the Arabs, and you've had to sell your Volkswagens to meet the next month's mortgage payment. But I'm here to make you laugh in the spite of yourselves. Go ahead and do it then, you kosher Kaksuker, yelled the big drunk. I wish to thank you for telling me like it is, Manny, said very quietly. Now, if you will stop finger-fooking your lady under the tablecloth, I'll get on with my act. You better, it's almost sunrise. Okay, then you have... Oops. Then have you heard... This is a little longer than... So, I hope everyone's having a beautiful night. I kind of just now realized I'm still reading this. But this is There's No Business by Charles Bukowski. If, God forbid, anybody would like that finished, I'm more than happy, but if not, I shall. It's a little longer than I thought. I do want to read. There's a good amount of stories that I really want to read.
What the hell is that story?
There's no business. So. Want to see it?
Yeah, there was cut-ups, with bung holes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of short stories and poems. The poetry that I was really into. It doesn't really rhyme. They're more so like observations. I always really liked that style. It's one of the reasons why I liked poetry that was translated, because it usually, in some cases, didn't rhyme, and it was more natural feeling that way. To me personally, I like poetry fine, but I'm just not big on like extensively rhyming structures, like where and it just, I don't know, it makes me feel like Gumdrops and like Candyland or something, which is totally great, but I like more dry dry observations and wit. And Bukowski was got a book called Post Office given to me when I was in middle school, and then did a book report. Was able to do a book report on it because gosh, I read it within a few days. It was just really, really. I always found so much not entertainment, but interest in like hyper mundane things. I guess one could describe as like what happens in the backyard when all my dad's blue collar friends are there, and it's after work and they're all covered in their own job sites. Like one's covered in plumbing, glues and adhesives, the other's covered in sawdust, one's covered in drywall, and stuff like that always just really grabbed my attention, I guess. And Bukowski has a lot of kind of motel room pieces and loads and loads and loads of writings, whether they be stories or novels, which I'm guessing is more like an autobiography. I still remember, I actually named one of my first cats Henry Chinaski. That was the main character in Little Women, or I almost said Little Women, Post Office and Women. I don't remember the other books. It was very long ago. Wow, that is sick! Something's happening on the screen.
Whoa.
This is a test. But anybody's more than welcome to join the stream and talk. Read things they like to read, or just, I don't know, talk about what they're into. I'd like to do a kind of Zoom style radio show where everyone has just random bits and things to share, like your favorite glues. Everyone has a favorite glue. Like, I feel like they must. This, and favorite tools, just like stuff that you find super useful and make your life easier. And it'd be nice to have, could just have vague discussions, but I really want to have a live chat that's just all about focus on the materials and supplies that make any ideas possible, or at least easier to execute. Like, a few years ago when I first discovered UV resin, it's because a few times I've given resin a go, but the curing time, 24 to 48 hours, was always a bit extensive, and I always wanted to use this as a way to preserve things, whether seeds, flowers, old stamps, in kind of like eclectic little charms and keychains and what have you, and maybe coasters or hangable pieces. Just resin is very useful for display and preservation of interesting things. However, placing the stuff, I don't have a vacuum chamber, and placing the stuff is always an issue, and a lot of the stuff quite small, and I like being able to place the things. By the time they're cured, it migrates, but for plenty of other projects, regular 2-part resin, great. But that's what led me to discover the UV resin. So I was able to tack everything in place, and then from there you could pour resin in it or just fill with UV resin. It just comes in a little bit smaller bottles. However, I do think there's a big honking size of Mr. Resin, which that's the UV resin I use currently. I really do want to try some of the fly tying specific resin glues. UV glues and UV resins, but I haven't ventured too far into that yet. I have a good full bottle of Mr. Resin, so not fixing to run out anytime soon, especially using it for such small projects right now. Mr. Resin, I've tried tons that are available on Amazon and craft stores, but Mr. Resin was the one that was super clear. Things I made years ago, no sign of yellowing, and no tackiness. And if it's a larger piece, you could still do larger pieces, just curing it in the sun. Or leaving it in a light box maybe overnight, but it's gotta like really penetrate that. The resin in opaque molds isn't the best because it just, where the resin meets the mold, it doesn't ever seem to cure properly. But you could always use that as time to take some mica powder and give it some color with just an old brush. Tacky resin is fine if you're going to coat it with mica powder, and you get mica's just super fine, and the tackiness allows for a nice even like distribution of the mica powder. I don't know what else I have currently I can use to like paint on it just for some tack to hold powder, and then to like continuously brush it on so it's nice and covered. And you could very easily blend colors to get any pattern or combination you need. And this is an old stream. This is shortly before I started tying flies. And here I am, as you can see in the front, on that desk, right in front of, like to the side of me, but like right in the foreground. Big pile of salvaged copper wire, just salvaged electrical wire. Hey, visiting here. Yeah, we're doing an experiment, kind of like a radio show. So then we could have other people's streams playing through here, or other people's footage or their cameras showing what they're making. If anybody has any photos of their work they want shared, could share them right here. And it's kind of like radio show. Pretty soon it won't just be me, and maybe these will be on Saturdays or Sundays, and it'll be a proper conversation, kind of like just an area to stimulate ideas, whether it be color combinations or different materials. And I'll be back at my parents' house tomorrow, which is where all my fly tying stuff is. I've been very antsy these last few days, but grabbed some stuff to experiment with that I just forgot before, and the bait casters did come in, so I can say what reel it is. I have to look up exactly what like what weight and braided line will be ideal. Moving slow, but however, we'll be getting out there soon. And it's going to be, I do have a really kind of like a cheap setup where it came pre-spooled. It had leader already on the line, floating line, the fly rod. It was like $40. It came with a little box of flies, all set up. Figured it would be perfect to at least practice the mechanics of casting and use around the rocks. That's where a lot of sand perch are, because I do want to get on the shoreline. I think that'll be the best for my dad's back too. Especially, I mainly have been practicing the roll cast only because the spots that mentally I have mapped currently is mostly spots that you're butt up against a seawall or you're on a beach, and like either a lot of people walking by or the potential for that, and just mangroves. So I've been practicing just the roll cast because it's just flick of a wrist, and I also think that would be ideal for my dad's back, and using his arms rather than back to like pull it and reel, flick of a wrist, and then I think it'll be a little better. But the bait caster setup, light GX2, so lightweight and longer than like I would have gotten if it was just for, me like locally or just running around, I suppose. So it's nice and long. I mean, not too long. It's, I think, 7 feet. But lightweight, so it's as thin as I could find currently. And for the price, is very affordable. Ugly stick. And so, very, very affordable. Like, essentially dirt cheap in the grand scheme of things. And the reel just kind of went super simple, and the first one I could find that was very affordable and had decent reviews, and that is the Cast King Centron Light. And trying to figure out what weight braided line to put in it. If should go for something a little thinner than or thicker. I know I'm not going to be able to cast like a fly rod, but I'm at least hoping to have like more active like presentations, if you will. And I do have a spinning rod light set up. However, the reel just doesn't have any form of like finesse, or you can't really like control much of that on it. It's just a really cheap Zebco 33. And their old ones, like the old models, really nice, like all metal. Kind of feels like a camera lens, like old Kodak, but it's the new ones are just all plastic. Feels like something that would have like fallen out of a pinata or something. But works just fine for like, but for the flies, I can't find anything remotely affordable for me currently, because I've bled myself dry, and I know I'm not going to be able to acquire a saltwater setup anytime soon, or even just like a fly setup. It's so I've been trying to pick out like a few directions, and just been putting alerts on eBay and that kind of thing, because I really do want to set up, because I could just be walking it down to the ocean, and code's right next to the lake that's completely stocked. So there's two testers, and I really want to get testing though, because I think that will help confidence wise as far as proportions and understanding why a proportion is set however it is, and what the materials look like in different proportions and configurations. and like how to make a balanced fly that floats how you want to. It's again backed by minimal experience in this field, just the love of making things by hand, paired with the decision to dedicate whatever amount of time I have left on this planet. Or if, what happened? Oh, phone. So dedicate whatever time I've left to learn how to fish efficiently, and then therefore feed myself and those around me forever. As long as I remain by water, which I feel like that is my internal goal to begin with. And going to be converting a little room in my parents' garage into kind of a office of sorts to be able to be down there and try to get some saltwater flies, even if I'm not the one who tied them, like just saltwater flies in general, into some of the local tackle shops. Because from my understanding, there used to be quite available saltwater flies, and like some tackle shops would even have like a fly tire that could produce flies for any situation. And I'm sure that's how it is in places that aren't in my immediate area. But we're very close to the Gulf Stream here in Palm Beach County, and the rocks and the reefs and the shorelines are absolutely jam-packed. And as I say quite often, I do want to start eating smaller fish and smaller varieties. A lot of them are unregulated here. A lot of them are used as primarily bait fish. However, I understand that they have less like or heavy metals, less mercury, and just something really fun catching bait and being able to fry some up little fish sticks or fried whole fish and get all the nutrients, even bones or calcium, would be absolutely fantastic. We have anchovies, we have sardines. It's immense. We have herring. I'm not sure if the species here, which ones are palatable and which ones are just all right. Because I have been, I don't want to overdo it on reef fish because I do know about the, I always forget the, that toxin that reef fish, shoot, it's at the tip of my tongue, but I almost had it again. Dang it, anywho, Centauria or Centaur, something like that. But one fish did have a strange aftertaste. Like the schoolmaster snapper, very beautiful flavor, just salt and pepper. Tasted sweet and nutty, which I never understood what that meant until a few years ago that I really started paying attention to that describable flavor or note. I'm not sure how you would say it, but it had like an almondy, like a sweet almond kind of flavor, and white, like very, very clean looking meat. Like it didn't smell like anything, and not even fish. It was just incredible. And then tried a blue striped grunt as well as a white Manjaro. No, a yellowfin Manjaro. Either a white something. I will have to look up the pictures or the posts because I ID'd it on the spot when we caught it. And one of those had a strange aftertaste, like a canned vegetable that's gone off. Like taste it immediately, but as soon as you swallow, like it's like metallic, odd flavor. Hey David, how you doing? So what's on the screen is a old stream where I used to do a lot of copper and just copper with just nothing but a pair of pliers and wire cutters. So very simple stuff, but very sturdy chains, and the chains you could use to hold anything. The necklace I'm wearing is a dagger. I have the mold for it. I can make full size daggers, and if I use a certain resin, I'm sure it could even be sharpened without breaking or anything. Resins, I mean, it's wildly strong, but the dagger itself has a ton of like magnetic sand and copper and stones, but I could put anything in it, plants, like a whole rose. And the chain is just made out of salvaged beads from vintage and antique jewelry, as well as some 1960s chain I found in some old sewing supplies. And that kite back there I made out of some straws. It didn't fly too well, but I made a larger, like not cutting the straws in half and left it large, and tried my best to spray this glue to put multiple sheets together, which was an absolute nightmare, but got it to at least lift up. I haven't made a kite in a while. A friend of mine mentioned that he wanted to make kites and that I should look into it, and I did, and it was good fun. Hope everyone's having a beautiful day. This is a test for Kynto Radio, and Kynto is the avatar chat / world builder nostalgic pixel art game that he's coding from scratch. Project he started when he was about 15, however, recently in the last few years just started building the heck out of it. And there's pixel art. Any pixel art that I made is in there, and that's Ace Bright. And it's making grids so you can walk on. Made quite a few tiles. If there's anything I want, I can make an absolutely clear tile. So if you want to host a like more interactive kind of fun Zoom meeting, more nostalgic, like with the art involved, type deal, your room could be completely empty, so people could still pop up on a platform, but you'll be able to see everything in the background. So you could have whatever y'all are reacting to or watching, your own footage. It's going to be sweet. I really do feel it. Because everyone's going to be using it differently. It's not a game that you go in and you like play some stuff by yourself. I just don't know what else to call it. There will be mini games. I actually made some really, really, really easy, simple art in the Pico 8 palette, so it could also be made into Pico 8 game. But that will be in here and any other mini games. And just for a little like doohickey to tinker with. And anyone could use it to actually, or to, hey Steve, how you doing tonight? Yeah, so testing out kind of a new stream setup that maybe on Saturdays have kind of like a radio show and people will be able to call in. The background is just playing an old stream of mine, but that could be anything. It could be old footage to react to or discuss. It could be documentaries or anything, websites, and have like a kind of a even more interactive setup. And then eventually people will be able to use Kynto as a tool because it's being designed as a tool, and many different ways to stream or share like thoughts or just dialogue, as in typing, voice, video, desktop, and it's actively being programmed, so it's actively evolving and it changes a little day by day. And especially when I'm not distracting code, he's able to push out the updates. It's wild how, and like going to read it or use it also to stream because I'll be able to finally touch the screen while streaming and have it focus, which you can't do that on YouTube on the front-facing camera. And that'll be neat. And having the comments read out, but in different voices to kind of differentiate like individuals. And like probably for now, like it'll be fine. Everyone's comments read out, but I'm sure like if somebody else uses it and there's more comments, or there's just more comments in the future, maybe moderators can approve which ones are read out, just so it's not chaos. But stuff like that is always all going to be smoothed out and just continuously morphing into hyper interactivity. Am I on the phone or something? I've been streaming for a hot minute, but I don't know. I've always really enjoyed it when starting and getting over the awkwardness, because it's like, I don't know. I really I think the older I get, the more and more I really do appreciate the internet, and I value it very, very, very deeply. And of course, there's many sides, but and you know, like it's easy to see it as surveillance state. However, can't help but also think like, what am I doing? I tie flies and like make jewelry out of salvaged wire that I find in my dad's garage, not in like warehouses. Okay, I'm not stripping buildings, but and salvage yards. Usually, to me, a ton of copper that'll last me months, and to them, they're like, "Why do you want this like grain of sand?" And they usually don't charge me for it because the weigher isn't designed for a little pinch of scrap. But hoping to have a radio show on Saturdays, so probably gonna be doing a few more of these tests, and then see about who would like to come on as a guest and either promote their businesses or channels or anything they do. Or, oh god, that was a rotten idea. I wanted to put something on the screen so it wasn't just, but anyways, code is coding away because the whole thing is just astronomical. And it's been really interesting to witness and observe and watch. As someone who has little to no understanding of programming, I did try to learn Python once, fried my computer. It was pre-fried, but I finished it. But one day I hope to like revisit, because got like the greatest possible teacher and self-taught programmer. So any feature y'all could think of, and I wouldn't get too hung up on the aesthetics, like the characters or the pixel art, because what it is mostly is platform, communication platform, and I'm sure the art's going to change so much, and there's going to be much more art to build rooms with, and create like individual spaces, more individualized or themed spaces. and there's going to be options to just make all that invisible, so it's just a blank screen. And you can use Kynto only for the benefits that perhaps other streaming services do not currently offer, as in the touching the front-facing camera to focus, as well as having more than one guest on a mobile stream. Because as it is now, if I wanted to have a guest on my mobile stream, I would have to send a link, but then if I go on first, it's just a blank screen. It doesn't, like, it'd be cool if it was like full screen, but then when the guest pops up, it like then made it 2 screens, but the one side of the screen will be blacked out. And then if that guest leaves early, it will also be blacked out. And I haven't tried to see if could join that same stream back with that same link, or somebody else could use the link. I haven't seen that yet. I imagine like you would be able to do that, but can't have more than one guest on the mobile stream. Streaming from mobile, at least not yet. I do know on Instagram you can have 2 guests on the mobile streams. But it would be really cool to get people on, and especially because all y'all have so much experience, and even if it's just typing, like, throughout your experience, what y'all have come to find as vital, or like a time saver, or something you couldn't live or create without, stuff like that. It's like undeniably golden information, but it's also cool just to like have conversations about, what other people's lives look like. There's so many of us on this planet, and we're all like making the absolute best out of our one life in the most splendid and individual ways. And we learn most of what we know from other people. I wish I was better at describing like the goal, but I think I'm doing a pretty decent job. Like hyper connected, or not connected, but hyper interactive, that allows for everyone to communicate in the ways that they're comfortable. And if like you have footage you want to react to, or oh, this what you do? I lost a Scottishman. Yeah. Whoa. Do you want this? Rod is practicing holding his breath underwater. Not even kidding. When we're down under the water filming, he wants to stay down longer to be able to film and photograph. So every so often he'll get in his Coleman Sally spa and practice breath control, which I keep meaning to do that. I wish I was a little better at like breath exercises and stretching. I do try to stretch daily, but nowhere near enough. And I really wish I could do push-ups. That would be great. I tried, and I could only do 2, and that horrified me. So for the next few weeks, I just did nothing but push-ups until I got to like 11, and then I think I got to 15 finally after like getting back again. But I can't seem to stick with it. and do it daily, or remember to often enough for any change to be noticeable, because I am not trying to be self-deprecating. I got some toothpick arms that I would like to remedy with um hmm, how long is that? Yeah. The gasket broke, or so it the that hot tub is going to be donated to yours truly to make into a tilapia pond. At least like maybe do lotus, water chestnuts, arrowroot. I really want to do lotus. I've been wanting to try lotus seeds for over a decade now, and I can never find them. And every time I see a video, oh, they look so crunchy, and the pods, being able to take them to the pods, it's one of those things really would like to experience. And got a lot of stuff packed up to go. Um, when I was studying symbolism, like religious symbolism, I ended up getting a bunch of decks of like tarot cards for the art, but I don't really need them. And I know those sell fast, so I'm gonna bring those with me to just sell on Marketplace real quick. And they're really nice. Like the one pack I am keeping is Tarot of the Holy Light. It's Order of the Golden Dawns deck. So it's got the craziest art. I don't think of them as like magic cards. I really don't. I think of them, if anything, as like triggers for free association. Like it's like if something is at the top of your tongue, so you'll zone out into the TV to try to remember, and you're triggering stuff in your subconscious. And so tarot decks, that's what I've always like viewed them as. And when you study symbolism, even if it's just for fun, it's a great source of symbol inundation. And it's I mean, if it's the language of the cards, if you will, that's all they are. And a lot of symbols, like you don't even have to think of looking them up, because you know what, like the message that they're trying to purvey. Like if you saw two pill bottles and one had a sun and one had a moon on it, you would know the moon one was for nighttime and what the sun was for daytime. And it's everywhere. And logos, insignias. It's just really, it makes everyday life that much more interesting, and that much more like something that could be like observed and read. At least like that sensation of, and even walking around old towns, you could see a lot of symbolism on buildings, and like of course statues and patterns. If you go to Pennsylvania Dutch territory, you'll see the hex signs on barns, which people might not have assumed they were called hex signs, but they are. And they started out as one or two colors, geometric designs, and after every generation and progression, another color would be able to be added. And so you ended up with some quite colorful little symbols, and very recognizable. So if you looked up the Pennsylvania Dutch hex signs, you would probably have a thought much like, oh, I've seen those. Church? I think Church might have a little poo on his tail, because I'm looking. Church is a bulldog. He's a rescue. And like didn't get him from a puppy mill or anything. He was a rescue, And you could tell his programming is a little off. They're not supposed to be that shape. And you can tell by his breathing. And so his tail, how it's all like crooked and kind of kinked, kind of sometimes acts more like a batting mat or like a baseball mat or baseball glove, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, he's such a sweet little thing. Miss him dearly. I cannot wait to get the apartment cleared. I just need to deep clean it. Unfortunately, I think he had depression, like actual depression, because would just kind of lay in bed and smoke cigarettes 24/7. But not judging at all. But that's just what I'm about to scrub off the walls. So it's actual layers, and like not even bleach does anything to it. It's thoroughly gunked, and so gotta find a new wall unit and something to put in a sink. There's a sink and plumbing and all that. Just everything was stripped out of it, so just need a new piece of furniture to turn into a kitchen counter. And that is going to be able to open many doors that have been closed for the last 5 years. Out here is really far. I currently do not have a car, so moving to the Florida swamp to grow a food forest was a little bit risky. Got many projects in the makes. And since spent this like last 5-6 years essentially in isolation and minimal distractions, we were able to start many projects that go in many directions. There's a little spot for anybody, and all are welcome. I also wanted to maybe like anything. I'm just so ready to do anything. And for the first time in my life, I really mean that. Like I no longer have the only desire to hide behind my desk. No, just kidding, of course. A little dramatic, but I am just really stoked is all. And whatever anyone's down for, just totally game. And can't wait to have like big old discussions and like learn all kinds of things. Like, what else is life for? Trying to look for the wacky worms. Wanted to bring some wacky worms to show my dad. And I also still have to try to make some sabiki. And for weedless, would you use 30 pounds test line? I think I pretty much got everything off the desk that I really wanna give a go. Some beautiful pyramid weights. I really want to make the sabiki, and if you like kind of, I guess, pattern ideas or patterns of flies that I feel like, backed by minimal experience again, would be ideal. Essentially, goldy, silvery tassels. And I am trying to find fish skin. I don't know what I'm searching wrong, but fish skin, like sabiki, it'll have this beautiful pearlescent material, and it'll usually say on the package with fish skin. So I can only assume that is the fish skin. And I would like to find me some of that fish skin. And sorry for the screen being that. I would change it, I just don't know how yet. But should figure that out soon enough. Lefty Cray's daughter still has quite a bit of his stuff, and she just listed some of his tools. And I really, 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 really wish I could get the bobbin holder. You know, the bobbin holders that are wider on the bottom? Like, not the regular ones where if you don't have a spool in it, the two, like, ends that hold the spool are touching. The other ones that are, like, spread. Here, let me try to put something on the screen. Like, maybe I could just click one of these. Okay, no, that's not it. Let's see. Um, Dang it. I'm not sure. Program. Huh. Alright. So, let's see. I don't know if you could hear this. Can you hear the water? Oh, how did she do that? Sweet. So, maybe I could just remove it. Okay. Never mind. That is a lot of moving pieces. I don't want to touch a single one of them. I feel like Django is about to occur. But it's pretty dang clever how he's got all of this worked out. And any ideas are pure gold. And who would turn down gold? No one. Yellow May. The Stalking Trout Waters with the Mayfly. This is from Favorite Flies and Their Histories by Mary Orbis. We read so much. Oh, gosh, I can't read at all. We read much about stocking or restocking waters with different species of fish, but little, in comparison, about stocking waters with fish food. At one of the meetings of the American Fisheries Society, a fish culturist said there is a popular idea that fish can live on water, an idea that it is unnecessary to tell this association is erroneous. Erroneous. That fish will live long without food is shown by that persecuted fish, the goldfish, which is kept for months in a glass globe without food. The owner is declaring that they live on what they get from the water. Wait, what? That newly hatched fish and small species get some microscopic food in ponds and small streams is well known, but a fish of a quarter of a pound's weight requires something more substantial. Besides, fish do not breathe in their food. At least, our game fishes do not. But see it first, and then I apologize. I will get better at this. But see it first, and then seize it. It is doubtful if a trout or bass of a quarter of a pound weight can see the minute Daphnia, see the minute Daphnia, and under and up. Anyway, it is doubtful if a trout or bass of a quarter of a pound weight can see the minute Daphnia and other small animal life on which it first fed. Something like 10 years ago, I engaged a man to bring me some bait, either gold shiners, bream, or suckers. For the spring lake trout trolling in the month of May, and when he delivered it, I found that it consisted of suckers only, and the number he brought and the price he demanded were both large. To ensure a future supply, I paid for all that he offered, with the understanding that he should keep in a spring for me all that I did not wish to use at that time. I did not think of the bait again until October, when I desired some bait larger than common for late black bass fishing on the rocks in deep water, and drove out to get my suckers, and a sorry lot I found. I then, for the first time, saw the spring, which was very like a well containing flower or 5 feet of water. What did I just read? I did not comprehend that one bit. I then, for the first time, saw the spring, which was very like a well containing 4. What am I not comprehending? Which was very like a well containing 4 or 5 feet of water. Okay, so she saw a spring for the first time, and it was like a well containing about 4 or 5. The poor suckers had big heads, a backbone covered with skin, and nothing more. The man was astonished, as he thought they would suck in enough to keep them fat, and so they would have had there been anything to suck in. And so they would have their. Am I just tired? What? This isn't that old. The man was astonished, as he thought they would suck in enough to keep them fat. Okay, got it. And so they would dear Lord. And so they would had there been any. Okay, I am just I must be tired. And so they would had there been anything to suck in. Oh, I'm sorry. According to Beaumont and Fletcher. What's one man's poison, senor, is another man's meat or drink. Or it doesn't say it, or, okay. It doesn't say it is another man's, it just says is another's meat or drink. Gosh, this is good practice. I've been wanting to practice for quite some time. But I don't think my parents would take too much just me randomly reading out loud to them. Could read this quote by W.H.H. Murray. Let me check to see. Yeah, 9 minutes. Alright. And again, this is from Favorite Flies and Their Histories by Mary Orvis. I lost the page. I found the page. With what words shall I be able to make you see what we saw? The air was pure and clear as a newly cut diamond, white and colorless as mountain air always is, a perfect lens through which, with unimpeded eye, we saw the marvelous transfiguration from day to night go on. 5,000 feet beneath us, Lake Placid slept, verifying its name. In the south, 100 mountain peaks were ablaze with the peculiar red sunset light. For 100 miles, the wilderness stretched away, a deep green sea across, whose surface the sun was casting great fields of crimson. Amid the darker portions, 80 patches of gold flashed, representing as many lakes. Eastward, the valley of Champlain lay in deep shadow. To the north, bounding the vision like a thread of silver, gleamed the St. Lawrence. In the valley of the south lay the martyred dust of him who died on a Virginia gallows, that American manhood and American liberty might not perish. The closing moment had now come. The heavens to the west were swathed in the richest tints of scarlet and orange. 1,000 colors lay on forest and lake. The mountain summits flamed. The sun, like a globe of liquid fire, quivering in the intensity of its heat, stood as if balancing on the western pines. Down into them it burnt its way. Pausing for a moment, and only for a moment, it poured its warm benediction upon the forest, bade a crimson farewell to each mountain top, kissed the clouds around its couch, quivered, dropped from sight. And there in this crisp air we thus stood, and gazed in silence westward, until the shadows deepened along the sky. The fog crept in and filled once more the valley of our feet. The valley at our feet, and the valley of our feet. And the wilderness which had been to me and mind a nurse and home, and which we feared we should never see or enter together again, lay wrapped in silence and in gloom. Oh, John Bugtune. So what's on the screen currently is one of my streams from a few months ago. Before I started fly tying, I was making crafts, little things, a lot of jewelry, and here was salvaged copper, making chain. Wow, I had that shell in my hand forever ago. Oh, it restarted. So testing a stream setup for weekends is do live fly tying or live learning to tie flies every weekday at random times. Hopefully we'll start closing that in eventually. And on the weekends, gonna try to do a sort of radio show. So people could call in and share their stuff. And if you want to go in through Kynto or through here, the cow dung fly. Tradition declares that this fly should be used on windy days, as the natural fly is found upon the water only when blown there by strong winds. But it has been proved that the fly is often successful, and other times, and actual observation shows the wind theory unreliable. The larvae of these flies feed upon the excrement of cattle, and the females may be seen hovering in its vicinity as they lay their eggs near or upon it. The females are short-lived and do not wander, but it is stated that the male flies prey upon smaller insects, especially the tiny water flies, which they hold with their anterior feet while they suck the blood of the bodies. In their greed, they often venture too far and fall into the water, where they furnish a fat morsel for the waiting trout. Their color is a brown, similar to the tints of many of the caddisflies, their favorite food of the trout and grayling, so that they are likely to be successful in any streams where ew, Friganidae, Phryganidae are familiar food to the fish. Phryganidae. Pretty neat. The cahill, Mr. John Shields writes to us that the cahill was named after a Dublin fly tyer of that name, who would occasionally, after making a fly, put it to the writer's ear and inquire if they heard it buzz. This fly is claimed as an American pattern, but we are confident that Mr. Shields is correct in his statement of its birthplace. The cahill, which number 121. I'll find the plate. I'll at least be able to describe it. 121. Plate O. Do we have a plate O? I feel like just playing bingo. Hey, bingo would be fun too. And that's a way I could get some of my first flies ever tied out. Because obviously, for moral reasons, I couldn't sell them. I could perhaps put them on the site and people could like do donation only and pick their amount, and that will at least cover shipping. And but could do bingo. Hey Ewos, how you doing? So this is a little bit of a test, and Ewos like I'm trying to do like a radio thing because Kynto is a streaming platform, and anybody who uses it and anybody who is going to use it will use it in very different ways. And the features that it currently has is absolutely perfect with the stuff that I want to do online, and I just don't know how to. And so going through Kynto, I could have as many guests and with audio, video, or just text, or text that reads out, anything. And the stream that's on the camera is actually from a few months ago, right before I got into fly tying. I was still just crafting away, basic DIY crafts. Yeah, there's the copper. Just salvaged electrical copper. And I don't strip buildings. This is purely from finding it in people's garages and that kind of thing. But for the weekends, since I do the learning to tie flies live on every weekday, I was thinking for the weekend to do a radio show. And since Kynto already has all the features necessary to just be able to take calls, have guests, and show anybody's footage in the background and have them like add footage if they want. It's through Kynto. So I'm gonna call it Kynto Radio. And on radio stations, there's different what have you, like segments. So maybe there'll be like different shows on Kynto Radio, and eventually it'll play in Kynto. Like you could put a radio in your room, and I'll just make one in pixel art. I'll have to, if there isn't one already. And if you put the radio in it, you could click it and maybe it turns the radio on if anything's live. That would be pretty sick, actually. Wow. Like, like if you get in a car in GTA, the radio's on and you could control it. So Kynto radio, in Kynto to link it to that, I could make it if you don't already have a radio. So you could put a radio in your room, and when you click it, it'll play like Kynto radio, like whatever. And it'll have different segments. Like Walter could have one on games and tech recommendations. Yeah. So if anybody wants their very own show on Kynto radio, we're doing open just kidding. But for real, if anybody has anything that they want to share or promote, more than welcome. And that's the whole point, is for just individuals. I was reading some notes a few months ago and like the title of the page was The Endangered Individual, because everything was just being siphoned and filtered, and you're gonna end up like with the same, like if you have a bunch of different, diamonds, but a bunch of dust or like a bunch of grains of sand got mixed in, you get one of those sifters, and it's like a cylinder, and each layer, there's a bunch of layers in the cylinder of different size grates, so it will separate all the different size diamonds. But like instead of like having all these beautifully organized diamonds, you just end up with like the sands and stuff like that comes out the bottom. And I don't know what that analogy was, but you know what I mean? It's just the individual was like, I mean, everybody was observing it in their own way, like the attack of the individual, any individual thoughts or opinions that weren't going like smooth with the groove. So it was a real deal, but Kynto, like anybody could use it, and like how I'm using it is I just want to use it so I have a place to be able to have a bunch of people meet up and like share ideas. And like I'm not talking about philosophical, like that too, but I'm talking like, what are what things that you've learned in life that like is like vital information. And that's the kind of stuff that needs to be passed down to other people immediately anyways. And like I feel like things got a little wrong here, like with raising families, kind of like raising to get like the kid out of the house rather than like the kingdom being pushed on and built upon, or pushed down and built upon. Like my parents are from the generation where a lot of people's great grandparents started a little business, passed it down to their grandparents, then passed it down to my parents, and then it ends up fizzling out, like in between my parents' generation and my own generation. But the information that people come to observe, like we have so many sensors, our eyes, our nose, our ears, and beyond that, like it's an unavoidable thought for me. We're like walking sensors, and if we're not consciously paying attention to something, we are subconsciously and constantly like running through like all of this. And like even stuff that you see and that you would do different is really vital information, because then there's like a bunch of things to run through to, I don't know, save time or money, energy. And I can't tell you how much y'all have already shared material wise and like finding the right materials. Because it's really hard to find the right material for something that you don't have any experience in. And I keep kind of like cycling over this because I am trying to find the best way to put it into words. But like a think space, I suppose. And but hopefully on weekends and start Saturdays, Kynto Radio. So if anybody wants to call in on a Saturday, there will be software in place that allows for such. And there'll probably be like a minor screening process because just to make sure, like, you know, you're very nice. One rule, be very nice. But that's pretty much it. Yeah. Oh, this is See, I'm used to. I never know when it's like abandoned or not, cause I'm used to having to like stay on the stream for a long time for testing purposes. So